guys hope's liking this weather. If you don't, well, we're stuck with it, but it means that there's no cold and there are car shows going on now. So guess what? That's Rick Guerrero down there drinking something.
Water, just water today. Water.
We've got John Lesaganich, our co-host as well. I'm Greg Roten. Welcome to Street Scene Power Hour. And we have a ton to get to. Let's get right into it. Let's start off. John and I, not Rick this time, John and I went to the Relay for Life car show.
First time in 15 years I missed the show.
Yes. And that's fine. You know, he called off, but he had something else going on. So me and John hit that, went to the Relay for Life car show. They couldn't have asked for better weather. What a turnout. What a bunch of awesome cars, awesome people down there. Thanks to Mike Adamski for throwing that. It's going to be, from what Mike said, I think John will attest to this, it's going to be an annual event now, which is great because it was a great setting. So he did a good job. Congratulations, Mike, and everybody else involved with that. We had fun. We got some interviews. I'm editing that. That will start next week. I'm going to kill myself Friday and get it done. So that'll start airing next week. And Rick, you've got some news for us, too.
I do.
Yeah, what'd you have this Father's Day?
Yeah,
what did you have? Did you forget already with that old age?
No. Oh, I had a heck of a week. I'll tell you, just everything happened. My son came in from Texas. I had to go to a wedding. And I had a party for him. And then the Father's Day car show, and we had that this past Sunday on the 15th down in downtown Sharon, and it was the biggest one ever. We had 1,206 cars there, believe it or not. Last year we had around 1,000, and we counted them this year. We had someone counting them this year, 1,206 cars. That place was packed. It was hot. It was like 86 degrees.
Yeah.
And it was hot. A lot of guys didn't stick around too long. A lot of the older fellas, But we pulled in a lot of beautiful cars.
Yeah.
Wasn't many Porsches there, though. I might have seen one or two. Or BMW.
No, that's a.
I just said there was two Porsches.
Two of them.
See?
Okay.
There you go.
I said, not many. I'd like to see more. I like those foreign cars. I got my BMW. I'd like to see more of them, So.
Yeah. Well, we're all into the foreign stuff now. We might have been into American stuff years ago, but I'm a bug guy. John's a bug guy, and Rich, you're going to have to watch the show because we have a comment about you not being one. So, so now you have a reason to watch. So, so yeah, we love the foreign cars. And John, do you have any announcements before we get started? I do have a couple things. So.
All right, real quick, the show, as you referenced, the Relay for Life, was an absolutely great show. The weather, as you mentioned, couldn't have been perfect. And I don't want to bring this up, but a lot of people said, hey, John, you did a great job. We're not going to see Rick again.
That's what Rick thought.
I lost my job.
I'm not going to bring that up. You can edit that out.
John, I did it for 15 years. It was a good run. I always tell Greg, it's a good run.
We had some beautiful cars there. I think we had 200 plus cars. Great weather, and I made a point to focus in on interview one individual on a Beetle.
Thank you.
A VW Bug, just so we could stick to Rick a little bit. It was a great bug. He had a great little patina bug, was lowered a little bit. You got to watch the show. Instead of Rick's pick, I got John's pick, which is
there you go. Cool, I don't even know how. I don't even know how to make a graphic for that. It's usually Rick's pick. I just threw the graphic on it. Now I got to redo the whole graphic. It says John's pick. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Yeah, you know what, Greg? You bring up a point. People don't realize when they watch this podcast, people don't realize the production end that goes into it, the editing, the put it online and all that. And I commend you for that. But the show was great. Rick, sorry you couldn't have been there, but I had an absolute blast. Interviewed one of my good friends out of Girard. Which means that all of us now are going to go down and get some great pizza at Canarino Sports Bar, and I'll show you the shop down there. So it was beautiful. Other than that, I don't have much going on. I was just telling these two gentlemen, our guests today, I'm carless. in the back garage. I don't have a car back there. I don't have nothing to
What?
Yeah.
What?
I agree. So I may be driving down to Dover looking at 71 Beetle. It's a super 72, I think it is. Super Beetle, Greg, but it's a flat window, flat screen before they put the curb screen in.
Yeah.
So I may run down and take a look at that. But other than that, I'm hanging out, landscape work, doing a lot of working at home, and everything's going good. Took the vet for a little while, brought the vet to the show.
Yeah.
Matter of fact.
Nice clean vet. I like that.
Yeah, it's a nice 95 C4. Two best years of the C4s, and I hope we get emails on this, 95, 96. 96 the last year. They improved all that OptiSpark and all that problems they were having.
Oh, yeah.
Love my vet. And Greg, what's interesting is you and I talked about vets are a certain group of people because not many people focus in on vets. But that's a close-knit people, just like our guest today, Porsche. You mentioned a Porsche. Everybody knows what a Porsche is. But to own a Porsche, to work on a Porsche.
Did he say that correctly, guys? Porsche.
Yeah, these guys.
Here we got heads shaking over here. Okay,
it's Porsche.
These guys are correcting me already. Porsche, however you want to say it.
Porsche.
Yeah. But I mean, if you and it's it's a beautiful car. To me, my favorite, and they have one out in the garage. If I could show it, I could. But to me, my favorite is a 914.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they came out, seriously, it didn't get a following that much. But today, the 914, I call it the square body because it just looks like a little square car down there.
Mm-hmm.
I love the 914.
Well, before we get into that real quick, I've got an announcement. We will be having the Street Scene Car and Custom Bike Show, obviously, July 31st. Beaver Township, I got thrown into this one as well. We'll be having a car show and a movie night. So that will be July 20. Hold on. I lost my train of thought. There's been so much going on. We will be having the Beaver Township car show and movie night July 27th. So it's right after that. We'll be showing Herbie Fully Loaded. We wanted a kids movie. So we have the car show from 4 to 7. And there'll be refreshments. There'll be a DJ, 4 to 7. And then right after that at dusk, we're going to show the movie. So I'm trying to convince them to set it up like a drive-in. I have all the equipment, which would be really cool. And I think I can pull this off. I've got the equipment to broadcast the movie into FM. So if you got a radio in your car, you can sit and watch it in your car. So
Greg, where's the location?
That will be at Woodworth Park. That's on Mercer Street in Poland, Ohio. It's right up off of Western Reserve Road. If you go up Western Reserve Road towards 680, there's the Big Rock. They have movie night or concerts in the park banner out there. That's go you right down that road, and it's right there. So it's at Woodworth Park, July 27th. The movie will start about 8:15, 8:30, I'd say, and it should be a good time. We'll have popcorn, free popcorn. Kids will be there. We'll have some gifts for them. So make sure to come out to that. This is the first one. They want to make it a good go. So mark your calendars for July 27th at Woodworth Park. Car show from 4 to 7, and the movie Herbie Fully Loaded right after that. We've got a 20-foot screen we're going to air it on. There's no chance of you not seeing it. So
all right, great. Let me interrupt you. So if we're going to flash back to the old drive-in times, if I show up, could I have 4 guys in the trunk?
No, we will be checking that, and they will be arrested and they'll be thrown in prison for that. Yeah.
In prison.
Yeah. We don't screw around on this show. Yeah. So no, but again, we don't care because you know what? It's free. That's the best part. It's free. You just come in. There's no admission for the movie or the car show. It's all free, and we want to make it go. We have room enough for about maybe 100 cars. So it's not going to be a big show, but we want people to come. So make sure you mark your calendars down for that. And of course, our July 21st, our Street Scene Car Custom Bike Show. Make sure you come to that one. It's going to probably be the biggest one ever. Go ahead.
I'm Mike Callahan here.
Yeah.
And I have friends in the VW community, and I'm sure that there's a 53 Herbie out there that would be great if we could have to come to the show for you that day.
Great.
Well,
I will work on that.
no, you won't, because I have that car. That's me. You don't have to work on it. That's part of it. Herbie the Love
Joe,
Bug.
you happen to know Joe Fisher, then, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Joe
Okay.
Fisher, but
Sorry.
my Herbie the Love Bug will be there to display. So yeah, we're set on that. See, I had it all taken
I was
care of.
listening for you.
You were trying to throw a wrench in there, and guess what?
I was listening
I
for you.
stopped it. And no. So yeah, we got that covered.
Sorry.
But you know what? Let's get into our guests here. We have some special guests with us, Jerry Hughes and Mike Callahan. And they're into Porsches. And you know what? You gotta love a Porsche. There was a time when the Porsches were kind of, they've always been classics. They kind of looked down on the 914s there for a long time. And boy, you could pick one up for a couple $100 years ago. Now people want these cars, and they are so cool. So you know what, John, I'm going to throw it to you because you are the expert on a lot of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I heard crickets going there.
All right, here we go. Let me give you a little introduction here. I used to hang around a local smoke shop in Boardman. I don't anymore, but I used to hang around there, and you guys know that I'm the car flipper. I get 10 cars a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're supposed to
That's for sure.
have to have a dealer license for that, to sell them.
Yeah. Well,
They-
his grandkids are buying them and flipping them now.
You're
Oh,
absolutely
yeah, he just puts his family up to it now. What commission do you get off that?
It's good to have a big family
Yeah,
because
that's right.
they each own certain cars they never even knew. But anyway, so I would show up to the smoke shop with a different car, a Ford Maverick, a bunch of cars, and I pull up in a '64, I think it was, red VW one time. And this guy comes out and he's looking at the VW, and I says, "Yeah, you look at it." He goes, "Yeah, I'm a VW guy, but I'm more of a Porsche guy." We start talking, and we became friends. That became Jerry Hughes. So we start talking, and we start talking a lot. Then we got involved. We realized that we share being quasi-pickers, going to auctions, estate sales. So I got to know Jerry, got to know his Porsche. He'll tell you about it in a little bit. Jerry then runs, and he'll tell you the story to Mike. And all of a sudden now we're seeing this club being formed, and I thought, what a great two guys to have on. Last week we talked about what makes a car guy. Today we're going to talk about, well, how do you start a club? Or why do you start a club? So I thought this is an excellent show for people listening or viewing. You want to start a club, maybe you're in a club and you don't appreciate it, start your own. But this is how you do it. And this is actually, I want to emphasize, this is how the hobby continues. If we didn't have two individuals like this hobby would eventually die. But this is continuing it, growing the hobby. So I want to introduce Jerry Hughes. I want to introduce Mike Callahan. And I'm going to let Jerry tell you the history and the name of how this club began. Jerry, it's all yours. But let me interrupt. Jerry, for some reason.
He didn't even start, John. Come on. He didn't even start, and you're already getting interrupted. What is that?
For some reason, he doesn't look like a Porsche guy. My Porsche guys are the sweater over the collar and a pipe. Jerry, there
And
you
Rick's
go.
hat.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know
Gotta
if
have the hat.
All right, Jerry, give a little intro and how it got started.
Well, it got started by I belonged to the Porsche Club of America. Mike belonged to the Porsche Club of America. We bumped into each other doing some work for him, and we bumped into each other, found out we were both Porsche guys. Let me take this off.
Yeah, it's like 90 degrees out there,
Yeah. I told Mike, he says, you need to belong to the Porsche Club of America. I said, I used to. I said, well, he says, why did you quit? I said, because I thought that being the Porsche Club of America, I would learn something, hands-on, how to do. I didn't meet those people, okay? I met the guys that had their mechanics do that. And so we decided after he talked and we talked, that we would form our own club, and that's where we're at today.
I think, Jerry, you mentioned to me when he was talking to the guys that it was Pittsburgh, right? It was
Oh yeah.
at the Porsche of America, whatever club that is. And he was asking them, he went on and he said, hey, you guys, how many of you guys change your oil? And they said, oh, no, we don't do that. How many of you guys, maybe do some valve adjustments or something? No, we don't do that. And Jerry's thinking, wait a second, I'm a Porsche guy. I do all that stuff. And that is the reason why, and where's the T-shirt there? Let me hold that up. Yeah. That is why the name of this club is...
And recognize the name of Porsche.
What is the name? Greasy Hands Porsche Club. These guys work on their cars.
Look how he spelled Porsche.
P-O-O. Porsche.
Yeah.
The reason why, well...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll take my turn. Well, I'm... we started this because, back in the drag racing days in the early 70s and that with your 396 Chevelle or whatever, I hung up at Stackpole's 3-bay garage. And, if you blew a clutch or something or you had guys right there to help and do whatever. Well, those days are gone, and the foreign car thing, well, nobody... works on her own Porsche, except I've never let anybody work on my Porsches. My first Porsche I bought, I was a United Parcel Service driver, and I wasn't a barn find, it was a tarp find. And it was on my route out in the country of Hubbard, Liberty Hubbard area, and made a deal for a car in 1974 that was totaled before this gentleman who was in the Air Force came home to store the car from California because he was going to Okinawa for 2 years in training. I bought the car for scrap, basically.
Yeah.
Worked on it a year, had pennies. You couldn't even cover the tax on a modern Porsche today for what I have in the car at that point. But had that car for many years. I had a problem with the engine, or the transmission rather. The car sat for over 20 years until I met Jerry. And I already had an 86 Cabriolet Carrera 911. And so he helped me get that car running and sold it, did well on it. And since then, I bought a Boxer at auction.
Mike, let me interrupt you. There's some IRS agents that may listen to the show. What did you sell that for?
We don't know.
Yeah, that I don't recall. I don't recall thing.
I don't recall.
Yeah. There were no dead presidents involved.
Yeah, well, how about any live ones,
we lost the laptop.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When you got two guys like this that love the Porsche, and let me go back and ask Mike, were you always interested in the Porsche, or was it just you seen that car and it was...
It was always an ego thing at work, at being a UPS driver. I had a TR6 at the time that I had rebuilt from a burnout. Well, that would beat my buddy at work's MGB. Well, that son of a gun goes out and buys a 2.0 914 Porsche. Well, I modified this TR6, from Paul Newman came to, Nelson's Ledges, and you'd got to talk, back when you could talk to their mechanics and everything. Yeah, you shaved the head, 110,000, blah, blah, blah. But anyhow, first and second gear, if I dumped the clutch, I could third gear. He was at the bar, had his first drink in him before I got there because he just couldn't keep up with that Porsche. So I'm out delivering, find this Porsche under the tarp. I pay for it. He actually loaned me the money for the fenders and hood, which... back in the early 70s, 1974-5 is when I built that car.
But both you guys were kind of and Porsche and VW have a connection.
Oh, they're
VW's big brother.
They're bedfellows.
And did either of you ever have the VW?
I've had 8 of them.
Oh, jeez.
My first car was a 1958 VW.
Hey, Rick, how many have you had?
0.
0.
Well, you're missing something.
Yes.
Yeah, you're missing the windshield right in front of your face.
Yeah. So we talked, and again, the last podcast, and those that follow us and are our fans out there, we talked about what makes a car guy, but here's two guys that were car guys, loved the VW. I mean, grew up in the muscle car days, right? I mean,
Yeah, I loved it all.
Yeah.
I raced go-karts, and if it made noise and gave you a adrenaline drive, by driving it, I'm in.
But here now they forming a club. Now you're seeking members, right?
No.
Yes. Yes.
No, yes, yeah.
So
I'm looking for them for help because if you read my resume, my car still needs work.
So is mine. So is all three of mine.
So Jerry,
Yeah.
what's your Porsche?
Mine's a 1977 911 S Targa, black, and Rick has seen it many times out at the fireplace. In fact, I talked to him
Sure.
probably 8-9 years ago.
I'm gonna share a screen for people that are watching. I think that is.
It's the first one on the left.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, I bought that in 2001.
Is my car in there?
Yeah, it's up on the top.
So how'd you find that?
I found it on Auto Trader, in the Auto Trader magazine, and it was right around Thanksgiving. So I'm communicating with this guy up in Rochester, New York, who is the vice president of Eastman Kodak. He bought the car from the president of Eastman Kodak, who brought it in.
Oh, wow. It's got a
And
history.
he actually raced the car against Paul Newman at Watkins Glen. Okay, it still has the 3-point harness hooks in it, and he wanted $13,000 for it, and it was right around Christmas time, 2001, and I called him up and I said, this picture that's in here, it's kind of ugly. I can't tell what the car. I couldn't even tell it had a wing on the back. So he sent me some pictures, and I'm like, oh, well, I got to go see this. So 2 days after Christmas, my son and I hot-footed up to Rochester, New York in a snowstorm and a blizzard. And the guy pulls the car out of the garage, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I took a handful of 20s, okay, and I said, would you take anything less for it? And he said, well, I'd like 13 for above. And I said, well, this is all I got in the world. I have 10 grand. He goes, well, the guy next door is a notary, and there's a U-Haul trailer place right down the road. He says, I'll go next door and get the notarized, and you can go get the trailer. So I bought the car in 2001 for 10 grand. I've done a few things to it. It's 47 years old, so
Yeah.
it needs
I
work.
can't believe that. Yeah, it's 47-year-old. That's yeah.
Hey,
That's,
Jerry, how's the value on those? Those holding their value?
Well, wait, let me interrupt. Rick, here's the interesting part. And when he told me this, you guys knowing me, this car wouldn't have lasted in my Corral. So he's
maybe a week.
Carlisle.
Yeah.
He's at Carlisle. Tell him what happened at Carlisle.
Well, we looked at a couple of cars there that were on the auction block. There was a 77 911 Targa, patinaed to rust, and they wanted $75,000.
Wow. Wow.
$75,000 for the same year car of mine. Just different color.
Yeah.
Mine's black on black on black.
Yeah.
So the one guy, this one guy and his wife was a doctor from New York, said, I showed him a picture of mine, and then they said, I would be willing to give you $100,000 for that.
Ooh, wow, what an investment, huh?
Jeez.
And of course,
9 to 1.
I could use the money, but I don't need the money.
That's it.
And I love the car. I've had it for 23 years. I know it, and where am I going to find another one? So
Is that a six-cylinder? Is that a six-cylinder? Is that a six-cylinder?
That's a 6-cylinder. It's
Okay.
a opposing six.
It's got the opposed 6-cylinder, the flat 6 in it.
Flat six.
Okay.
Pancake.
Yeah.
What they call it, pancake six.
Mhm.
Just like a Volkswagen. Just
Yep.
like a
Only
Volkswagen.
2 extra cylinders.
Two more cylinders.
Oh, okay.
Air
You
cooled,
know-
right?
Air cooled, not water cooled, air cooled. Oil runs to the front of the car. is pumped to the front of the car through a radiator that is air cooled from driving. Okay,
It is actually air and oil cooled.
Yeah, air and oil cooled.
Yeah.
Now, let
those,
me ask you. Go ahead, Greg.
Are those made to race as soon as you buy them? The 914s?
The 914s?
Well, he's got a 914, right, Jared?
Well, he was
I
talking
have
about.
a 911.
Yeah.
Okay, a
911.
911.
Yeah.
Are they made to race right out of the package there, or what?
I didn't
So when you buy those, can you race them? Or you have to
buy
soup them
them-
up? Yeah, new. When you buy them new, can you race them?
Well, 914s aren't made anymore. Okay,
Okay.
911s are, are cars now. 911s back in the day were cars that guys bought and they did rallies and they raced them and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Today, yeah, okay.
If you have
If you got a lot of
if you're
money.
a millionaire or billionaire, yeah, you'd race a $200,000 car. You know, I mean,
Get a GT3 with 440 horse twin turbo or a 770 horse turbo.
Now let me put this on. We had Rick knows this person. Had a guy me and Rick used to know, bought a Porsche 944. That was his starter car. So that was back in the 90s. So you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
So he went and traded it in a 911. So, and he ended up wrapping that thing around a pole because it's a mid-engine car, correct? And he didn't know how to drive it. Let's
no,
put
it's
it
a
this
rear
way: it's
engine
a
car, but not
totally
a rear engine.
but it's a totally different animal to drive than a front engine car. So you've got to watch that. And I've never driven one. I've never even ridden in one of those. How much of a different animal is it to handle? Driving on the freeway, curves, sport driving.
Well, the wheelbase is much longer on a 944, okay? But it's a rear wheel drive, okay, front engine motor, water cooled. 911 is a rear engine, rear drive. So you got all your power right and weight in the back, okay? So chances of doing some squirrely things are very, very little.
This 911 that got wrapped around a pole, it didn't happen to be on North Lima Road, was it?
You know what? I think it was on 680, if I
This
remember.
gentleman didn't have anything to do with one of our beloved radio TV stations in town.
Well, you know who it was then. We're not going to mention any names.
I just state, God rest his soul.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
But we became friends in Lake Tahoe.
Oh,
He lived
geez.
across the street from my uncle on Hidden Woods Drive in North Lake Tahoe, South Lake Tahoe. So it's a story in its own.
It's a small world because Rick and I remember, of all that going down. It's like, well, why is this person not working? It's well, he wrapped his Porsche around a pole. It's like, please, he just didn't know how to handle it. But
Let's go one thing. If Mike and I would have had these cars when we would have been 25, 26, maybe, or even earlier,
our ghost would be.
We wouldn't be here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as far as having experience in Porsches, a lot of us have stories, and I've got one to tell you real quick. I was going to college out in near Tucson, and a buddy of mine, he had a 924. So the poor man's Porsche, the 924.
I had one too.
Yeah. I tell you what, this thing, he built the motor in this thing. That's the first time I went 160 mile an hour in the middle of a desert at night. And it scared, mine was white knuckled the whole time. He's just got his foot buried in this thing. And we're going through the middle of the desert and I'm going, just hanging on like, if we hit something, we're dead. But man, that was, of all the 924s, that was the coolest car. I loved that car. And then, of course, somebody T-boned him out, and he was totaled. So, but that's the one.
Did you clean the seat off after you left?
No, I left it for him. What are you talking about? I just messed my pants and had to clean up myself. So,
The 924 was the car that actually saved Porsche from bankruptcy.
Yeah.
It was a Volkswagen project. And
With Audi.
Yeah, with Audi. And Porsche went to them and said, hey, we're in trouble. We got to have something we could sell cheap and get it out there and sell a multiplicity. And that's how the 924 evolved. And then after the 924 came the 944, the 968, the 928. And then they dissolved the water cooled until the 911 came along that was water cooled.
Now,
In
the
2000.
the silver one you had. What
It
was
was
that?
a 924. I had a 924.
Yeah,
Okay.
because at one time I was looking at a couple 924s, and they have some inherent concerns.
Oh.
And you got to watch out when you're buying those. And what I found out on some of these Porsches and some of the other Euro cars is that the first question you want to ask on these is, when's the last time you changed the timing belt?
No, yeah.
Well,
Typical for anything of that era, that has a timing belt, there. And again, from what I understand is a lot of these car manufacturers are moving away from that finally, because they're just a pain in the ass. I'm going to be honest with you. To have to change them. I've had cars. I still have cars. I got to change the timing belt because I hate doing that. I hate doing that completely.
Every 30,000. Every 30,000 miles.
Horrible.
30,000 miles? Wow.
No, 100,000 on my
Some of them-
Subaru. But
Yeah.
The Volkswagen Rabbit was every 33,000 miles.
Yeah, well, the rubber products back then weren't good at all. So, that's
With
why.
Kevlar and everything today, the timing belts of today are much more.
Yeah, but it's still a maintenance item, which drives me crazy. I like a timing chain. Give me a chain, or heck, in a V8, give me a gear drive. I'm all right with that. So, as far as these timing belts, let me ask this question. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
No, go ahead.
the maintenance costs on a Porsche. I had a friend that had a Boxster, and he said he had to get the oil changed, and they had to drop the cradle in the back to change the oil. Is that true?
Yeah, that's a little erroneous. You have to take a few cross members off. No
Okay.
big deal. But if you say it's a big deal and you're charging it like it's a big deal, I guess it's a big deal. But I have a Boxer. In fact, it's for sale. But we bought the car at auction, and we've had the car all apart. We had the transmission out because it needed a clutch. But here's a for instance we just did to the car. Put an oil air separator on it. It is basically the PCV valve for a flat engine that Porsche is. Well, the part cost $100. If you want to go and have it done, it's going to cost you $1,000, $1,200. And I will tell you something: these little tiny hands of mine and how you got to go down, it is a nightmare.
Okay.
These don't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I had to.
I got little mitts. I can get the nut started, but then you got to crank on it.
Yeah, and you have to have it because I have that on my my 65 Bug, and it's got a built motor in it. But I was getting a lot of blow by on that crank. It was blowing right through the crankcase seal, and I had to put one on in there. And the part was an empty part. It was $50, but again, putting it on, it really wasn't that part in a Bug. But I can't imagine putting one of those on a Porsche.
Hey, your club. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rick.
Your club. Are you just all Porsches or just 911s or 914s or
All
what?
Porsche.
All Porsche. Okay.
Okay.
911s, 924s, 944s, 914s.
And if there's anybody out there in the viewing audience that has a Porsche that doesn't run and your wife wants it out of her way and yours, please
Give us a
find
call.
us somehow.
I got a buddy who has a 911. It's been sitting in his garage forever, and he says, "I'm going to get it. He's like,
Yeah, you know how that
68 years
works.
old. Yeah, I know. I keep telling him, "Come on, Dave. Come on,
If it
man.
wasn't
Let's
for
go."
us, if it wasn't for us working on them and taking the chance of, getting our hands greasy, we couldn't afford these cars.
I was going to say parts for those. And now if you're buying it, if you're working on these cars, these Porsches, and the parts, cost of parts for a 911 versus even a 914, what are the differences there?
Probably about 80% more.
Wow.
Yeah. And how,
For the 911.
For the 911 versus the 914. Depending
Yeah.
on, the 914 is a 914-6. Then it's
Yeah.
a Porsche engine. If
Okay.
it's a 911, 17, 18, or 2, it's a Volkswagen engine.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I have a question on that. You know, they came with a 914.6, and then they had the 4-cylinder. Better engine? What would your pick be between on those 914s? Would you want a 6 or you want the 4-cylinder? Okay.
Absolutely.
Some of them aren't dependable. I didn't know which was a better engine in those.
Oh,
It doesn't matter. It's what it's worth.
it's
Yeah.
worth, and it's 130 horsepower versus 80 to 110
In that light car.
in a car that weighs
1,800 pounds.
1876.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, you know, you don't need a lot of ponies, but you got a lot of RPMs,
Yeah.
and plus you got to remember the engine's in the front of the wheels, so you have great traction, great handling ability.
Those are
Okay.
good road race cars. That's what they're all about, road racing. Mm-hmm.
Now, the
914
914 you guys are doing, I think we have some pics we can
Yep.
throw up.
Let me.
They bought a 914 and you stripped this thing down completely.
Yeah.
This car needed so much.
Yeah, it needed so much, but I want you, Jerry or Mike, to explain how this thing came with fuel injection, but our good buddy that we had on the show, VW Rich Sidors, told you guys, hey, look, just go with the twin carbs, right?
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah, we were having so many problems with, there's so many components with the early fuel-injected Porsches that, we didn't know that much about it. We didn't know anybody that did. We since have found people, but we decided because we have had so many problems with, we'd get it running and then we'd have a gas leak over here or we'd have a vacuum leak here. So we decided, talking to Rich, he said, why don't you just go with twin Webers and be done with it? And so that's basically what we did. We probably devalued the car by doing that, but it runs.
But did you keep the old fuel injection system in a box?
No, we
Yeah.
did.
Well, we did.
It's gone. Here's the deal. Each fuel injector, and there's 4 of them in that little Volkswagen engine, $250 a piece.
Yeah.
Whoa. Wow.
We got the 2 Webers, the intakes, and all the linkage. I think under $700, and it's a done deal. Now we did buy a special distributor from Rich because he knows the curves of injection to the carburation.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about it. He's such a wonderful human being.
Oh, he's a great guy.
And we just found him kind of through Joe, and he is just a guy that you can rely on. He ain't out to rob you. He's there to help you.
Now who is this guy? Let me ask this question. So just in case anybody's looking for somebody to work on these.
Well, he's
Go ahead,
not
talk
that
to these guys. I'm going to
interested.
step out for a second. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
John, here goes. John's like, okay, this is good. I'm going to leave now. So
Okay, we can talk about John now.
yeah,
Yeah, we can talk about
we
it.
know about John.
Did you hear about John?
Union
Huh?
negotiator that we don't know so much about him.
Well, let me.
That Porsche you just showed us, that was what, a 914?
That's the 914, yeah.
And what year was that?
73.
A 73. Okay.
What years did they make this from?
And they made it from 70 to 76. And I
Okay.
don't know if you noticed, but that car's yellow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We didn't notice that.
Is that the original-
I didn't
is that
know
the-
about your eye.
Is that the original color?
That's the original color.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I know they came in
Fine.
some greens and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
That's classic 70s stuff, you know.
Can you find parts for them? Is there a catalog out there? Is there a company out
There are
there?
catalogs out there, eBay, online, Pelican Parts.
There's a company called
Stoddard.
914 Rubber.
Yeah.
This 914 Rubber makes or replicated every single piece of rubber on that car.
Let me
Wow.
add.
When something's 50 years old, you got
Yeah.
to change the goulashes,
Now finding original parts, body panels, any engine parts, is that a challenge anymore, or is it pretty much easy? It's not a challenge.
There's
Not
a
a-
company in Cleveland called Stoddard, which was actually a
Yep.
Porsche dealership at one time. They make parts for 911s, 356 Porsches, which is the real early ones, and the 920 914s. I'm sorry.
Okay, So the most rare Porsche, I know there's a was it the 968? That was that it? It was after the 944. Is that kind of? I don't know if it's a 968 if I remember it right, but I thought that was very limited production on those.
Yeah, they only made about 7,000 or 8,000 of them.
What was that?
That's what I thought.
968s. They're very pretty car. They look very similar to a 944, but they're a little bit more rounded. They've got a little more plush interior. They made a convertible. I saw my first one about 20 some years ago at Hershey at a show, and it was like a plum color, and it absolutely blew me. I said if I ever sell the 911, I'm going to find me a 968 convertible because they are a beautiful car.
Yeah, are those really now? Are those the rarest ones? Let's talk about the 356. Now that's just a classic style.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean those. If you find one of those 356s original, I know they make replicas. I've seen a ton of those out, but the 356 Porsches in original condition are just a fortune to find those. So that.
Gentlemen, I will tell you a small story and not all of it. And maybe if I could reach out to these people, you could do a podcast with them. Be nice, John. Okay.
Whoa, shut down.
Hey, if you get Mike started, I can leave again.
I'm Irish, but I do not.
We're going to go for breakfast.
Hey, so am I. So,
in Canfield, Ohio, a grandfather gifted a granddaughter a beautiful 1955 Porsche Continental Cabriolet.
Oh God! How old was she?
Yeah, she's married and she's very nice. And her
I was hoping it wasn't her first car because I was going to probably pass out.
But they had Pete's Restoration up in Newberry do the restoration over a 4-year period of time, and I'm sure the restoration's
perfect. Yeah.
This car they discovered after they went into it. It is one of 8 1955 Continental with a Super 8 engine. Super 90. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Super 90.
okay.
And this car is just so flawless. And this couple is so nice. And it's right here in Canfield, Ohio.
It's right here.
Yeah.
It's in Canfield.
Beautiful.
And
That I would love to feature that car out at our car and custom bike show.
yes.
I would love to see that out
the car
there.
deserves it.
Yeah.
Look, Greg, let me interrupt, and you're right. If you can get that to the Armstrong car show, the date, Greg, on that?
At Austin Town Park it is?
Yes. Yeah. I mean that. I have a special place right up for the stage, right up on the stage for that.
Really?
Because
What would you put a value on?
This car is millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
One of
Millions
8.
of dollars.
Wow.
Is there still 8 around besides that one, or is it just one of 8
There's
made?
only 8 produced.
Okay.
How many exist? That's something that in the 356 registrar, and it's a big worldwide club.
Yeah.
Because when you have a car that rare, I mean, you pretty much want to know where every single one is, but they're still out there.
And that's one, it's like, it's not going to go down in value at all.
no,
I mean, there's no way. Those 356s, think 40 years ago with the 356s. I mean, they, again, I don't know, they weren't worth that much then, and they're skyrocketed now. And it's just, and you know what I'm glad to see is the 944s were looked down upon for so long. You got a 944. Ooh, boy, whoop-de-doo. Finally, they're going through the auctions and they're bringing some money. And I was finally, because they're a good-looking car. And they were made for people that can afford a Porsche. That's what they wanted a more affordable Porsche. The 924 is it, and the 944 is it. And I'm glad to see them bringing some money finally.
My
You know what, when I-
944 is
when I-
a great track car.
Yeah, when I first seen Jerry's 944,
924.
924, even the 924, I started looking for one. I mean, I fell in love with it.
Yep.
It was a great car. It's a Porsche. And he educated me on some of the inherent concerns. I mean, fixable. Don't get me wrong. But I think they're beautiful cars. I think they're a great car to drive.
There is one, and it just popped up. It's up the road from me about a quarter mile, and it's at a trucking company. It's up on jack stands, and I'm like, I've got to stop. It's a 924, and I don't know what year it is. And you got a smile on your face. I don't know why, but I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. But
He probably knows the car.
Yeah, it's red. It's a burgundy red, but I'm like, I got to stop and see if they're going to sell that car, because it looks like they either pulled a motor out of it, a transmission, transaxle. But I'm like, I wonder if they're willing to sell that car. My wife will kill me, but if I can get it cheap, I've always wanted one of those too.
Hey,
What's
hey
kind
guys,
of
go ahead.
Go ahead.
For people who don't know, like me, the Porsches, the 356, is that the car that James Dean died in?
No,
No, that was a
No.
Speedster.
you're talking about James Dean. James Dean was a 356 motor. Okay, basically that motor, but it was what they called a speedster. It was a
Okay.
little bit more streamlined. It didn't look like an ugly egg as
Right.
the 356s do. It was a little bit more.
356s are like the upside down bathtub. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, they're
yeah.
beautiful. Don't do that to them.
Well, that's how I know.
Kind of looked like an MG midget. Kind of looked like
Okay.
an MG midget at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Going back to the 924, 944, 968, 928, the unique thing about those cars is the transmission is in the rear axle,
Yeah.
not up front.
Right,
against
they had a
the
torque
engine.
tube
They got a-
between which is kind of unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And back in the 80s, I know that was it the 928 that was kind of really getting popular. It was in Risky Business. Remember that movie with Tom Cruise? He had I think it was a 928, but that's
Yes,
when
it
it
was.
started just going up in popularity, to me at least. That's what I remember. I saw that car in that movie when I was younger. I'm like, oh man, that's so cool. But
When the
Let's-
928 was produced, it was the fastest production car that you could buy then.
until the Grand National. Sorry.
What a sleeper we got there, huh?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Well, let's touch on some of the numbers of the, I know, Porsche doesn't even, they don't really name their cars. They never have. It's
it's
always
numbered.
about the numbers. So we have the 356. Let's go through some of the numbers that they do have.
Well, the 356 evolved into the 911, which was a 6-cylinder. That same car you could get in the 4-cylinder, which basically had the 356 engine, and that was called a 912. So
Forgot about that.
then the 911 has been produced.
It started out as a 901.
Yes, but
What,
No, I didn't know that.
Tell us why they had to
Peugeot-
change it. Why did they have to change
Peugeot
it?
sued them because of the
What was that,
zero.
what was
Yeah.
that, Rick?
Tell
Was
us
that
why
right?
they had to change the number. You know the reason?
Peugeot.
Yep.
Peugeot put a big stink in the little French accent.
Peugeot had the rights to the number. Yeah.
90. So
Mhm.
Porsche said, okay, so it'll be 911 instead of 9, because
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
901 and then the 902. So
Mhm.
that's what the Germans counteracted and put 911.
Huh. Yeah,
There was a 904.
Right.
which was
Wow.
which today is a very sought after vehicle that probably will bring upwards of $5 million.
Jeez.
They were basically race cars. They weighed about 1,700 pounds. They actually had a Super 8 engine in them,
Super 90.
Super 90 with a turbo or a supercharger on them. And they were raced in the 60s, about 1963. They only made it 1 year. I got the opportunity to ride in one at the Pittsburgh International about 8 years ago with a guy that is absolutely a crazy driver, scared the hell out of me. He asked me, he said, "You're not afraid of speed, are you?" And I'm like, I said, "No," but when I got out, I said,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you leave a mess in his seat?
He had to clean it when they left.
I'm sure that Armstrong would be very happy for you to do some kind of a podcast from the Pittsburgh International Racetrack. seeing
it'd be
how it's
fun.
near
You
their
know?
home base. you
Now,
know?
now, if they're going to pay me to go down there, that's another story. So, you know, that's quite far, but but hey, it's possible.
Only
That'd be
20
kind of
minutes from here.
cool. You know,
Me and Jerry could take one of you gentlemen each, and our Porsches over there.
We'll get you down there in 15 minutes.
But you have to put diapers on before you go.
no. I'm ready to meet my maker. Let's put it that way. I'm fine.
I'll go with Jerry then.
But your maker's not an oak tree.
Listen, I'm willing to go with these guys, but I'll just say this: it depends.
No.
Depends.
But
Let's go back to the numbers, which is interesting because all our automakers put names on their cars, Impalas and Maverick and so on. So we got the 900s, but then 911 that led to what? What's the next one? Is that the 924s? And
well,
then
no, there was some, if you stick with the 911 type body, okay, you're got, you know, stay away from the 924, 44, 68, 28. Stay away from those. The 911 has many, many numbers, and I can't explain to you exactly what all those numbers mean, but they're 930s,
959.
I've
959s.
heard of that one.
The newest car right now that's racing, and we didn't do so good at Le Mans, but the 963.
why did they,
It's a hybrid.
why'd they go numbers? Why? Why not names?
Because the Germans can't come up with names.
Hey,
No,
hey, Ferrari.
the BMWs have numbers too.
Yeah, and Mercedes have numbers too. I think it's
Yeah,
all
what
Germans,
is- yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, well, I guess Mazda has numbers too. You know, but yeah.
They call it the Wiener Schnitzel.
Hey, that's good. You know.
Hey guys, you know what?
You wouldn't want to brag about owning a Wiener Schnitzel.
Hey, first of all, Gaunch wouldn't have it long enough to even know that he had
No,
it. You know what I
no,
mean?
he wouldn't even.
He
Hey,
vacuums them once.
no, it's like the wind. It's like, phew, oh, there's John's car. Hey, it's in there. It's gone. Yeah, it's
But I will tell you now, I and again, you guys know I still have the vet and all that, but I will tell you, if I find out, and Jerry knows this, I'm actually looking for, but you know how I buy stuff, a 914 or even a 924 one. If I
We got one.
He's pointing
Yeah,
to the
we
one
do.
they redid. If I do get a Porsche, it'll be one that I hold on to. It's kind
Yeah.
Yeah,
of
for about 2 weeks
Sure.
instead of 1 week. Yeah.
you know, John, I don't believe you. You'll find that bigger, better deal somewhere else. You know.
I'm gonna throw a wrench into this numbers of 900 numbers. There is a 719 and a 718.
Really? Now, what do they look like? I've never even heard of that.
They look like a Boxster.
Oh, no kidding.
A newer Boxster. There used to be back in the day in the 50s. There was a 718. They brought it back about 8 years ago, and they have a 718, 719.
And it was in the Spider line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is,
Now, here's
All right.
another comment I want to make. I love the 914s. There was a time when you could pick them up fairly cheap. No longer. You're not
No.
going to find them. Then I was talking to Jerry, and I says, "Hey, Jerry, I'm looking at these Boxers. I kind of like those cars. They're kind of cool.
They're fun.
Inherent concerns. And here's one, Rick, you and I and Greg talked about last week. You can actually, and they're fantastic cars,
they are.
but you can actually pick one up for in the 10 grand range.
Yes.
You can get them, and you can have yourself a beautiful ragtop, top down Porsche that you're driving around with.
And they're
I-
pretty and they're pretty quick. I mean, you know.
They are fast. They are fast.
They're just too expensive to fix.
Much
That's
faster
all.
than my 911.
Jerry and I have rescued 3 years ago. We rescued a Boxer, 1998 Boxer 968.
at an auction.
There's another number, 968.
Right. This
Yeah.
My brother had a couple of those.
everything.
Yeah.
We've done so much work to it, but the $10,000 is a car you're going to have to put a lot of work into.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not cheap
Now-
either.
Yeah, but new. How much do those cost new? I thought they were, again, they're expensive, but I thought they were more affordable.
What, a
when they were-
Boxer?
Yeah.
About
They were.
50. They're about 50, I think.
If a gentleman wants to get into the Porsche market, a 968 Boxer for like 15, 17 grand, you can have a car that you can have fun with. It has air conditioning, cruise control, everything. All the luxury, mid-engine, handle like nothing that you've driven before.
So with
But
that
not
said,
brand new.
no, with that
Brand new.
said, if there's anybody listening that has 17 grand to spend for one, give me a call.
He's a
middleman.
What are you doing in my car? You believe this?
I'll find
Yes,
out.
I believe it.
Hey guys, you got to remember these cars are toys. They're not an everyday car. Okay, I had a buddy who bought a Speedster, and he was driving it every day. Then all of a sudden, it started breaking on him. And I said, "It's a toy. You can't drive it all the time." You know,
Right.
like my BMW, my Z4. I got 24,000 miles on it. It's an '09. It's a toy. Couple thousand miles a year. That's all. You know, you drive it all the time. It's going to get quite expensive.
Well, you know, like I said, we've done all the maintenance. This car probably won't need touch for 6,000 miles. And in our era of
What the
Mhm.
914?
no,
Oh,
the Boxer.
The Boxster.
Okay.
So what do you drive a car? You know, I'm not taking a car out if it's going to rain. You know,
Right. Right.
it's a lot of
That's
work
it.
to clean them back up. And this is a car that you could drive every day. But okay, so you might drive it 2,500 miles a year. It
Mhm.
would be the most fun in those 2,500
Oh,
miles.
sure.
Oh,
Mhm.
And for little money.
And they
You
are-
keep your money in the 401k. What are you going to? You get depressed. Oh, it went down. Oh, it went up. I'll guarantee you, you pay that kind of 15 grand for a Boxer, and you take care of it. You'll
it's
never lose a nickel.
no.
And
Mhm.
in 10 years from now, you'll probably get 5 grand more than you paid.
Yep. Well, we got like 3 minutes left here. Your car club that you've got. So let's get some information on it. Is it open to anybody with a Porsche?
No.
No.
I don't want to grow membership.
One second.
I have a wife. You know, I mean,
We like to have visitors. We like visitors. We like guys that like know how to change a tire, maybe spark plug or whatever like that.
there's too
We
many.
love to have them come. You know, we're just two old
You get to
guys
have a
that
beer if you come
Yeah.
down here.
we're
Oh,
just
see,
two old guys that shouldn't have the knowledge that we have.
No bourbon?
Really, what we're looking for is younger people that know how to. Right now, we're looking for a wet sander and polisher. So, if there's anybody that would
Well,
like to, take. that
I'm an
beautiful-
expert wet sander. I can tell you that. But
How many guys you have in that club?
There's
Actually,
four of us.
3, 4.
Well, four of us, actually.
okay. But
Really, in all honesty, if a Porsche guy's watching, listening to this, he wants to get involved with you guys. He liked what you said.
You could contact
call
us.
us. Yeah,
you
we-
know.
you know, just all you have to do is.
we can make a few dollars. You know.
Yeah, well, here's the way we'll do it. Well, you know, if you're in any interest in that Porsche or anything like that, questions about it, email armstrongstreetscene@gmail.com. I will forward it. I will be the middleman and forward it to you. But we're running out of time here. We've got about a minute. Anything else you want to add in the next 30 seconds?
Let me close on here. I want to thank these two guys. I think during the discussion here, you found out that if you got questions on Porsche history-wise, mechanics, these are the guys to call. The club is going to be a small club, but it's open. The Wizard did all their graphics on there. I wanted to give him a push.
Yeah, that was a nice logo back there.
I want to thank Jerry and Mike for being on the show. I think it's a great show. This is Car Guys. This is what we
Car
do.
Guys.
One thing,
10 seconds.
if you're a Porsche guy, key on the left, motor in the back.
Yeah, there we go. Used to that with a my bugs. So, you know what? Thank you, Jerry Hughes, Mike Callahan. Thank you for joining us. We learned all about Porsches. There's tons of other questions, but it's been interesting. So, for John Lesaganich, Rick Guerreri just disappeared, but Rick Guerreri, this is Greg Rick, and we will see you down the road.